About because, I mean, Dermot was speaking before, 3 minute water break. It doesn't take 3 minutes to, have a swig of water. And it seems like they're just using it for tactics almost, to discuss with the coaches and the management.
I mean, let's just dive straight into the hydration breaks. You've played abroad, Jay, in a number of different places in hot countries. Did you feel like the World Cup had to introduce hydration breaks? Was it something that was necessary given the heat out there?
Listen, when I played in Thailand, for example, it was baking. Humidity was so high all the time. And they just put bottles around the pitch. So like when, maybe when the ball goes out of play, you can just reach for a bottle. I don't think you need 3 minutes. Even if they are to stop it, I think you could just stop that for 1 minute, nip over, have yourself a drink, have some electrolytes or whatnot, and just carry on. I think 3 minutes is way too long. And even then, like Dermot said, when the players were ready to actually kick off, the goalkeeper had the ball, and the referee stopped it and said 3 minutes is not up. So again, I think that's just unnecessary. When everyone's ready to get back into play, let the whistle go.
And Dermot, on that, do you think FIFA will be quite frustrated that, I mean, all across my social media feeds at the moment, people are just talking about hydration breaks. Do you think they'll be quite frustrated that this new implementation has led to so much discussion?
I think their idea was they knew it was going to be hot in certain areas, and they implemented a one-size-fits-all.
Has to be done everywhere,
and
yeah.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's not a one-size-fits-all. I refereed in Qatar, and it was 41 degrees. There was, like Jay said, there was drinks around. There's a break, I can nip across and have a drink. I could have a drink in 10, 15 seconds while they're fetching the ball for a goal kick. If we had a minute, yeah, great. But I don't know about you as a player, but as a referee, I wouldn't want to be stood for 3 minutes.
No.
That's an eternity.
Would you lose your focus as a referee or lose your rhythm?
I think certainly you lose your momentum. And that's, for me, Jay and I talk about things on Ref Watch. We talk about decisions and, the referee's going to have it on, the referee's going to have it on. When I was a player, I didn't want the referee to have it on. I wanted the referee to stop them breaking play up. I wanted momentum. As a referee, I wanted the same because I'm in that zone, I want to go. Quick little break, get my head together, go again. 3 minutes, that's an eternity.
And also, I think, we talked about this new technology, Snicko, and that's come from cricket. I think we need to take the stop clock from the NBA. Every time the ball stops, just stop it, because then that's going to stop these extra times where people are questioning it. Like, how is that 11 minutes? How is that 8 minutes? And vice versa. How is that not 8 minutes? What, where does that come from? So I think they need to implement that, and I think that just lets the game flow a lot more efficiently.
I mean, let's move on to time wasting right now, but actually just one final question to you, Jay. When you're playing in that sort of heat, how does it affect your decision making, and what would your fitness differences be, say, at 60 minutes playing in Thailand or Japan, where you played previously, versus playing in England?
I think you get used to it, first and foremost. It's not one of those.
How long does that
things.
take to get used to it?
I mean, from when I first went there, it probably take me, a few weeks
Right.
to a month maybe. But when we was training there, it was funny because they actually told us to wear more clothes. Like wet coats and jumpers. So then, when you are playing in shorts and a t-shirt, you feel a lot.
Right.
You feel a lot cooler.
It wasn't for fashion purposes.
It wasn't for fashion purposes. But again, a lot of the time, it's more electrolytes, salts in your body, so it stops you getting cramp. Sometimes you might put hot water down your neck or over your head to just cool you down, but you get used to it really quickly. And like Dermot said, I think Virgil van Dijk said, it needs to be subjective for certain stadiums. I played in the Dome when I was in Japan, and the temperature was constant at 20 or 21 degrees the whole game. You never felt like you was overheating. We never had water breaks. It was just, a normal game.
Brilliant. Let's go on to time wasting, because we've seen, again, various rules brought into place, and they've already been used in a couple of times, Dermot. In Canada versus Bosnia, Bosnia's throw-in was given to Canada after, say, Kolasinac took too long to take it. And in Scotland versus Haiti as well, Andy Robertson found a loophole by directing teammates into position before picking up the ball, before the 5-second countdown started as well. What have you made of FIFA's introductions to try and counteract time wasting, and was that something that you really wanted to see FIFA and IFAB get a grip of?
I think everybody, when you saw the Premier League last year, time ball in play, it shocked people in those games with 55, 56 minutes. So over a third of the game lost. I think FIFA recognise this. They want to get more ball time, more play time. But Andy Robertson did exactly what I told everybody, as I said to you.
Yeah.
When I used to go in and to Arsenal when Jay was there and say, look, this is what we're going to do this season, this is how we're going to implement this. the first thing Arsene Wenger said to him is, right, we've got to work a way around this. It's right. Yeah. The first thing the coaches do, they work out how to circumvent what's best for them. Yeah. And that's exactly what Andy Robertson did, didn't he? He knew that if he picked that ball up, he got 5 seconds, but instead he didn't pick it up.
Very smart, very smart. Okay, before we wrap up the show, Dermot, what are the 3 rules from the World Cup that you'd most like to see introduced in the Premier League next year? And Jay will probably get your reaction to those suggestions as well. So, Dermot, what rules have you most enjoyed from the World Cup?
Certainly the one with Tim Ream, where the referee can just be told by the VAR, you've made that mistake. I just think it's so important. It's factual. I like the corner. It's factual. The rest I'm growing into, but them two I'd say for definite, because there is no argument, they're factual.
Yeah. And Jay, if there's any other rule that you could introduce that you haven't seen yet, or something that frustrates you from a refereeing point of view, what would you like to see changed in the Premier League?
Again, I totally agree with Derms. The only other one I would add would be that Snicko. We had an incident this season, which Dermot pointed out to me afterwards, which we discussed at length, with his handball at Man United. You know, if there is that Snicko, we don't even have the conversation. It's just done. And I think that's black and white as well. So all the rules that are black and white, I think should be implemented into football, into the Premier League, because there's no discussion about them and you can make the decision really quickly. And that's what we want in the game.
In Ref Watch this season, we've actually been hard and fast on that. With things that are factual, we like. The problem areas is the subjective ones, because it's down to an individual. And individuals, whether we like it or not, we're going to see things slightly differently.
And to add to that as well, the terminology in how, you know, the officials in the VAR room describe things, because sometimes they dig a hole for themselves by using terminology that someone like me that used to be a player look at and think, how's that reckless or dangerous? You know, what's the difference? When is it the difference? Sometimes things are just accidental, but they look at it because you've hit someone high on the leg. They look at it as reckless, where actually it's an accident. So they're the things that I look at and I say, that needs to change. But again, I just don't like the rules that are there for interpretation. The black and white rules are the best.
And final question just to Jay. We've seen most teams in action in this first round so far. We haven't yet seen England, of course. Who is your favourite, having seen a lot of the teams in action?
My favourite is Germany, and I said that from the beginning. I said, you know, people were kind of sleeping on Germany, but I see them playing the Euros against Spain. And even though Spain won that game, Germany battered them to the point where when Marino scored that goal, it was a shock. The whole stadium went quiet. And I look at them now, they played against a lesser opposition, yes, but they still won that very convincingly. And they've got some big players there. They've got solid defenders, experienced players, and they're the only European team to win in South America.
And also, I thought Florian Wirtz just looked exceptional as well. Point to prove for sure.
Exactly.
It's going to be absolutely epic. There's been quite a few of the big sides underperforming so far, but England's still to come. But these guys will certainly not be underperforming across Sky's platforms this summer. Talking Ref Watch, talking all sorts of football situations. Keep an eye out for them. Thank you very much to Jay. Thank you very much to Dermot. And we'll catch you soon. Hello and welcome to a special YouTube video on Sky Sports Football. I've got everyone's favourite TV duo. I've got Jay Bothroyd and Dermot Gallagher to discuss VAR.
Have yourself a drink, you know, have some electrolytes or whatnot, and just carry on. I think 3 minutes is way too long. And even then, like Dermot said, when the players were ready to actually kick off, the goalkeeper had the ball, and the referee stopped it and said 3 minutes is not up. So again, I think that's just unnecessary. When everyone's ready to get back into play,
air-conditioned arena in Atlanta. Both sides lost their opening fixture, so the pressure is on for both the Czech Republic and for South Africa. Tori Penso is our official. She is becoming just the second woman to referee a game in the Men's World Cup, after Stephanie Frappart was the first in Qatar in 2022. And you were saying that her husband, Chris, is also an official.
He is, yeah. I think he was the VAR for England's friendly up down in Orlando.
He was. The conditions on that particular day, where the the monsoon-like conditions, the tropical storm, we had the flooded pitch and the delay. Whatever the weather is doing outside, we will not know because the roof is closed, it's air-conditioned here in Atlanta, and we're underway on BBC Radio 5 Live for what is a midday kick-off local time, 5 o'clock in the UK. And thank you for your company for the first of what will be 4 games in the United States and Mexico on day 8 of this World Cup. We will finish off with later games against Switzerland and Bosnia, Canada and Qatar in Vancouver. That's at 11 o'clock as the cross comes high in, and in the end the header from Schick that had dropped a long way down. He just didn't seem to get a great deal on that, 6 yards out, went wide, goal kick.
I think he was surprised by it. It's a great chance, and he's normally a top finisher. I think he scored 21 goals in the Bundesliga last year. It's a big chance, and he comes off his shoulder.
Yeah, they really did lack the power, but he was quite isolated in that first game. They had 7 cross from deep areas, but they generally did lack the width. He was isolated a lot of the time, was Patrick Schick, but as you say, an excellent form for Bayer Leverkusen, and the Czech Republic with an early opportunity that they were unable to take. Into the second minute of the game, but over on that far side, they look for the run of Włoszek in behind on that left, and it required the presence of Mudau to stop the run, but the Czech Republic have got a corner kick over on that far side, the left. As they play from left to right as we look, we're so high up we can actually not see this near touchline because of the banks of TV cameras and the media tribune that we're sitting in, 0-0.
And this is going to be interesting now because I think they've scored 4 of the last 8 goals from headers. They're very good at set pieces.
Yeah, they are. In comes the outswinging corner kick. 7 of their last 14 goals at World Cups have been headers, but the break is on for South Africa, and the ball is switched to this near left side for Apollis. With his dyed hair, he holds on to the ball. That's something that Hugo Broos was talking about ahead of the game. He wants to see them keep the ball better than they did in that opening fixture. As South Africa eventually will come forward. This is Mabat in the midfield. Across more just over the halfway line, back towards Apollis on this near side, the left. Faced by Holesh, and then he goes back behind him. And then that's a little touch of the ball for McKenna in the midfield, and they go all the way back to Ron Williams, their goalkeeper. A wicket in the cricket, Ellie Oldroyd.
Yes, and Emilio Gay reached his 50 and then 2 balls later was out, not given initially on the field, but it had just brushed his glove, went through to the wicket-keeper. He was out for 53, Will O'Rourke taking the wicket, but 50s in successive innings for Emilio Gay in Test cricket. 142 for 3 England in reply to South Africa's, to New Zealand, apologies, 391.
And commentary continues on Sports Extra. There's a free kick for the Czech Republic, 3.5 minutes into this game here in Atlanta. And the referee, Tori Penso, Dean was quite right. The husband, Chris, did take charge of, he was the VAR for that game with England in the warm-up match. But she's just had a little bit of a talking to as the Czech Republic get this free kick in a midway point as South Africa trying to offer as much protection to Williams, their goalkeeper, as much as they can.
Yeah, they've got a really high line here, so there's a bit of space in behind them.
Sadilek is going to take it. He's one of the players who has been drafted in. 5 changes that has been made. And he goes out towards Soufal, who hits it in first time and knocks up in the air by Adams and behind for a corner kick. It was a diagonal right-footed ball in that was stretching that South African defence.
Yeah, as I said, big high line, but that Soufal stayed wide, and they played him, and he played a little ball into the box, which they scrambled away for the corner.
In the company of Dean Smith, the former Aston Villa and Brentford manager, here on BBC Radio 5 Live, as the corner comes in, and the effort in the end, as it was played back in, the little scissor kick really from Sadliak. He was off target, left-footed on the volley. Goal kick to South Africa, still goalless.
Yeah, goalkeeper a little bit iffy there on the corner. Got both fists to it, but it didn't really go much distance.
Switzerland, Bosnia at 8 o'clock, Canada, Qatar at 11 o'clock, and then back to the other game in Group A, where these two are both playing Mexico and South Korea. That's a 2 o'clock in the morning kickoff, so that will be with Laura McGee on BBC Radio 5 Live overnight as the games continue to come thick and fast. But the Czech Republic are on the attack. Ball played in. This is an opportunity for the Czech Republic, and it's taken. Mikhail Sadlier hit it first time, left-footed. South Africa exposed once again. 5 minutes played. That might well be the quickest goal of this World Cup so far. They lead 1-0.
Yeah, they went to sleep on a long throw from Soufal down the side, and they ended up with a 2v1 on the edge of the box. Good finish.
Certainly was a good finish. It's his first competitive goal for his country. He last scored against Montenegro in June 2023 in a friendly. And he is getting all the plaudits down below as he takes a swig of water. It originally came from a throw on this right-hand side. South African defence all at sea.
Yeah, they went to sleep on the throw. You know that Soufal has got a long throw. He throws it in behind, centre forward, pulls it back then to... And they've got 2 or 3 against 1 in the box there. And a good pass and a good finish.
We'll try and bring in Dean Furman back in the studio in Salford, because they didn't necessarily cover themselves in glory defensively in that opening fixture against Mexico. But Dean, what did you make of the way that South Africa conceded from that throw initially?
Yeah, absolutely, and it was we started off particularly poorly in the first game. It looks as if that's been something we're trying to improve on in this game, certainly going long in the build-up, because that was our problem in the first game. But as Dean mentioned, it's a long throw, which we should have been prepared for, because we know all about that long throw. It's caught us cold, defence is all over the place, and we find ourselves with a mountain to climb again.
Certainly do. Dean Furman back in Salford. South Africa trail by a 1-0. Notice that it's been officially credited as 6 minutes with when the goal was scored. João Neves scored after 5 minutes 35 yesterday, but Metja still was being credited with the quickest goal of the tournament. But that, from my watch, was 5 minutes 15. Might well take that away from the German. But for the Czech Republic, they've made the perfect start when they've talked a lot about the heat that they've been dealing with at their base in Dallas and then playing in Mexico at altitude. But there's no signs of fatigue from the Czech Republic in these early stages.
No, they've started off really brightly, really aggressive with and without the ball, to be honest. And, you know, it's an aggressive lineup that he's gone for. The wing-backs are getting high and wide whenever they can, and they're outnumbering them at times.
Yeah, we did wonder whether they would, the major dilemma was whether they would go back to the back four, because that is something that Miroslav Kubek, when he took charge, he wanted to change the formation, but he's kept with it. Been very flexible, really, for somebody who's got a rather pragmatic approach. He was, well, both of them actually were, Miroslav Kubek and Hugo Broos, both briefly the oldest coach in World Cup history. Hugo Broos had it for about 7 hours, the 74-year-old, before Kubek took over, and that was just for a matter of days before Dick Advocaat eventually took that record away from them when he was in charge of Curaçao. The Czech Republic are attacking once more, played down the right-hand side. Here is Soufal with a cross, and it required Muda to run back, facing his own goal, to head it away 6 yards out. But they are getting a lot of joy down this South African left flank.
Yeah, some great little bits of football there as well, and as you can see, Soufal getting forward again as a wing-back, just gets caught offside. But the opposite wing-back's coming into the far post as well, so they're really aggressive with how they're playing.
Czech Republic then are ahead, and South Africa, who lost in that opening game in Mexico City that we brought you, really have been torn to shreds at times down the right-hand side. South Africa need to try and gain some composure in this game, get hold of the ball, because Czech Republic, as Dean Smith was saying, both on and off the ball have been very impressive in these opening 9 minutes. You're listening on BBC Radio 5 Live. We are live in Atlanta. Notice that 75 goals scored in the opening 24 games for the first set of the group stages. We've only had the 1 goalless draw so far in this World Cup 2026. That was Spain, surprisingly being held by Cape Verde. And for South Africa, they've got to try and get themselves back on level terms, because realistically, and this applies to both sides, they need the 3 points here, bearing in mind they've got 2 tough fixtures next Thursday. Czech Republic against Mexico in Mexico City, South Africa, South Korea in Monterrey. South Africa are attacking right-hand side, looking to try and play the ball into the midfield. But every outfield player is in the Czech Republic half. They're playing from right to left. Yellow shirts, green shorts. South Africa look to try and play the ball into the penalty area. Blocked though, sadly quickly challenged. And the ball then cannons away off this near side. That was a good challenge coming in, I think, from Mabat in the midfield. In fact, Spain-Cape Verde was actually here on Monday, wasn't it? So that was the only goalless draw that we've seen. 18 of the 24 games, Dean, have had at least 2 goals scored in them. What have you made of this tournament that you've witnessed?
Yeah, no, I think teams are going for quick starts. You saw that England last night. People think they can go and get an early goal, and actually, I think mentally it does hurt you as a team if you've conceded early goals, and I think that's what teams are trying to do, especially with the heat and teams tiring later on.
Because of the air conditioning and the closed roof, the stadium conditions, I'm told, down below are at 22 degrees. Very pleasant indeed, as Williams, the South African goalkeeper, floats the ball out towards that far side. And this is Maseko, who tries to get away down towards the byline, loses the ball, and then it's touched by Krejci and just played up for the Czech Republic out towards that far side. Sojka, who's playing as the left wing back, but they've lost it. Here is Apollis, who's going to shoot from distance. It's a dipping effort, and it just brushes the side netting on the right-hand side. I think there were some supporters in this main stand that we're sitting in that thought that might have actually gone past Matěj Kovar, the goalkeeper, but it was the deflection that took it wide.
Yeah, it was an ambitious effort, but it certainly got a little bit closer than I expected it to, you know, aided by the deflection as well.
Best effort so far that has given a little bit of hope to those wearing yellow inside the stadium here in Atlanta. Corner is pulled back 30 yards out from goal for South Africa. This is Mokoena in the midfield. Opportunity for them to... That's a very ambitious effort.
A very ambitious effort.
That was...
I don't think too many of his teammates are happy with him there, shooting from 45 yards, I think.
Aubrey Madiba, just outside the centre circle. Whether he was encouraged by the earlier effort from Apollis, but I think Matěj Kovar, who was on the books of Manchester United for 4 years, but didn't actually make an appearance during his time at Old Trafford. A keeper to be beaten from that far out would be most disappointing.
Yeah, he would definitely. Now, I think he made his debut at Swindon as well.
He did. He had loan spells at Swindon and Burton Albion. Now plays for PSV Eindhoven and was the hero in the penalty shootouts in the playoffs against the Republic of Ireland and Denmark, as the Czech Republic, who are leading by a goal to nil. South Africa. Holeš will head the ball forward back towards Czech Republic. And Hložek just couldn't get his feet sorted. He did have the option to pass the ball to Schick, but he went for goal, did Adam Hložek, and it was off target. Ran away from him.
Yeah, they're playing 2 up front, Czech Republic, and they've always got an out ball. The 2 centre forwards keep the ball in and around them whenever it goes up there, so they're causing lots of problems.
Czech Republic lead by a goal to nil. De Ruyter in the midfield, lured out of international retirement for the playoffs after a 5-year absence for Miroslav Kubek, who took over in December ahead of those playoff games. But De Ruyter, very, very experienced at 35 years of age. He actually had retired as the ball comes into the penalty area and is headed out by Ocon after the Euros in 2021. But his experience for the much needed as far as Miroslav Kubek is concerned. South Africa have a throw, trailing by a goal to nil, 15 minutes played on BBC Radio 5 Live. This is Apollis, just short of the halfway line inside the South Africa half. Yellow shirts, green shorts, playing from right to left. And across the back, and this is Ocon, out towards Mudau now, the right back. Making himself available is McQuena in the midfield. He's right of the centre circle. Czech Republic, though, in their red shirts, drop off. And there you can clearly see the shape of the 5-3-2, can't you, of the Czechs? As this is Apollos once again, just dropping back inside his own half.
They've been really intricate, South Africa, in their build-up. I thought they'd go a little bit quicker through the lines, but they've been intricate, trying to draw the Czech players out. But they've stuck to the shape quite well so far.
South Africa, who've reverted to the back four. They did play with a back three, not only against Mexico but also against Cameroon in January, but that's only twice in the previous 10 games where they have played with three at the back, going to a more natural formation as the ball is switched out wide to the right-hand side. In comes the cross. I'm not too sure that Maseko knew much about that. It was a pacey ball that was delivered, but to Pelo Maseko.
Yeah, some good play. They get the ball wide and he puts it in with pace. He doesn't know much about it, but they get 3 or 4 bodies in the box, so a good opportunity.
He'd made a run in there. There was also Ikram Reyners, who was also there, and Holesh was the one who was having to try and deal with it.
I think Reyners makes a really good run across to take the defender away, and he just hits him on the hip, I think.
16 minutes played. Czech Republic still lead South Africa by a goal to nil. BBC Radio 5 live and the BBC Sounds app. Live here in Atlanta. Ball chipped up towards Sheik, leaps in the air, chests the ball off. He picks up now the loose ball. This is Derrida to Holesh down this right-hand side, and then Sheik was caught, fouled by McQuena, and that will be a free kick to the Czech Republic just inside the South African half. And Torre Penso, the referee, will just have a gentle word in the ear there of McQuena. The Czech Republic wait to take this throw, which will be the goal scorer Sadliek who's going to take it 10 yards inside the South African half. But once again you can see that there is a high line from the South African defenders.
Yeah, I think they understand the aerial prowess that Czech Republic have got, and they're trying to give them less space to run into.
So a few yards in from the right touchline, Czech Republic playing from left to right. It's hoisted towards Sheik inside the penalty area. It drops, pulled out to the edge of the area, and the first time effort from Vladimir Derrida was off target, hit it left-footed. It was always arcing its way, though, a goal away from the goal of Roman Williams, who's taken that quickly, looking for the pace of Apollos, but Kovar all in light blue. His anticipation was very, very good. He'd seen it coming, he was out of his penalty area, but he was looking for that direct ball right through the middle.
Yeah, it was bright from both goalkeepers. A great ball from the South African goalkeeper, and then really good keeper sweeper from the Czech Republic.
When the MLS resumes after the World Cup, which is on July the 23rd, your first game as Charlotte FC will be against Atlanta, but it'll be at home.
Yes, it's back in Charlotte, so these are our rivals, our local rivals, so only the 4.5 hours away, as I said earlier. But yeah, that 22nd I think is our first game back.
So when do you start training for that?
Monday.
Oh.
Yeah, it'll be a mini pre-season.
And then you'll be back into it. Dean Smith, manager of Charlotte, here on BBC Radio 5 Live. 19 minutes played as Czech Republic get the ball out towards that left-hand side. That was from Krejci to the left wing-back, Sojka. He's starting out really in his international career is Alexander Sojka, plays for Victoria Pilsen. Only his 4th appearance for his country as Krejci gives away a free kick that it looked like they were willing to take quickly, but the referee says no, I want to have a word here with Krejci, who got that goal against South Korea, and he's looking to be just the 4th Czech player to score for the Czechs in their first 2 World Cup matches. But South Africa go back from their position with the free kick back towards their goalkeeper. And here is Williams inside his penalty area, just a couple of touches. As there's no real press from the Czech Republic. They were quite keen to keep 5 players back around the halfway line. Now they go do long and direct, do South Africa. Ball played back to Apollos. This is an opportunity now for Modiba, the left back. Purists 30 yards out from goal. Slips as he tries to switch the ball out towards that far side. Mudau is forward. Running back, yellow shirts. And now into the midfield with Mokoena in the centre circle. Mbakazi, one of the central defenders. But the Czech Republic players, very well, good structure to them, isn't it, from the Czech Republic?
Yeah, there is. They don't press the goalkeeper at all, really. They just go man for man and deny the space, really. I think that he's going to have to go over them at times to break the press.
Ball is knocked out to the back. Ocon plays it out wide right, looking for the run of Reyners. Also in pursuit of that ball is Maseko. Czech Republic, up it goes towards Hojlek, but he was fouled from behind, and that will be a free kick to the Czech Republic. And they're in no real hurry to take it, but the early goal now gives them that option just to sit off a little bit and try and maybe attack South Africa on the counter.
Yeah, it does. South Africa now have got to take the game to the Czechs, and I think they'll be open to certainly a quick counter-attack from Czech Republic as well, with leaving two up front.
Still plenty of activity on the elevators behind the goal away towards our left. Those refreshment kiosks are certainly getting plenty of attention with the subsidised prices as a cross comes in from this near side from Modiba on the left for South Africa, headed out by the Czech Republic defence, and it'll go out for a South African throw that Apollos wants to take 10 yards up. Again, such is the nature of our commentary position, the way that there's a gantry there for a cameraman jutting out. Actually had to rely on the monitor to see that taken. Can't see any activity down below. The fan experience might be good, the media experience less so.
Yeah, it's funny that we actually can't see this line near us. As you say, relying on the monitor in front for that.
I'm still being stung by my social media post going viral in the United States for saying that I had the MetLife Stadium had the wow factor. So I asked Dean, who of course works out here in America, what you thought of the MetLife Stadium, and your reaction was?
I loved it, but I've only been there to watch Oasis, and it was outstanding.
Well, that might be a different experience altogether then. We've got a water break now here in Atlanta, and Czech Republic are leading by 1-0. We will bring in the thoughts of Dean Furman after we've been to the Oval and Ellie Olroyd.
Bright sunshine here, 162 for 3 England. They trail by 229 runs. And Joe Root is creeping closer to another extraordinary landmark in his brilliant career. He's on 42, and 6 more runs will take him to 14,000 test runs. And he's closing in gradually on Sachin Tendulkar's what seemed like impossible to reach record. Harry Brook hit an outrageous 6 over backward point just after he'd come in to pretty much to get off the mark. He's on 15 off 18 balls. The only wicket to fall in this afternoon session was Emilio Gay in rather bizarre fashion. Just got a short one which clipped the very shoulder of his bat and went through to the wicketkeeper, not given out, but then New Zealand asked for the review and he was out for 53. 162 for 3 England in reply to New Zealand's 391.
And commentary continues on Sports Extra. First round of the US Open Golf, Ian Carter.
It's windy at Shinnecock Hills, and it is as tough as we were expecting. The leader's only at 1 under par. Rory McIlroy, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys. He's in the group at level par alongside Tommy Fleetwood and Tyrrell Hatton. The leaders, Sam Burns, Patrick Reed, Ludwig Aubert and Ben James, they're all at 1 under par. These players approaching the turn. Scotty Scheffler, 5 holes in, world number 1, level par, 1 off the lead.
Thanks, Ian. Dean Furman back in Salford, former South Africa captain. You've got about 70 seconds, Dean, to tell us your first impressions of this first half so far.
Well, once again, Ian, a really disappointing start. Managing those critical phases has been a problem for us in the opener at the start of the first half and the second half. And again here, we go 1-0 down in the opening stages. But since the goal and a couple of shaky moments after it, we've really grown into the game, starting to play our possession football, start to move the ball about really nicely. It's getting to that final third where we have had some We've gotten some good positions. The crosses have been good. It's getting those bodies in the box and trying to trouble the Czech Republic goalkeeper.
Thank you, Dean. That's Dean Furman. This is Dean Smith alongside me here live in Atlanta. There seemed to be a few boos there, didn't there, for that drinks break?
Yeah, I don't think the hydration breaks are going down too well with the football fans here. We have them in the MLS, but we only have it once it's over. I think it's 85 degrees. You know, if it's below that, then there's no hydration breaks. And I actually think that's the right thing, but I believe they're worried about the fairness of the competition if they don't do it.
Yeah, FIFA are saying it's the consistency of the competition. The cynic in me suggests that it's just an advert break for the TV companies here in the States.
Yeah, it's more of a commercial break rather than a hydration break.
Dean Smith, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. I do really hope that this doesn't catch on, though, back home.
It can't, surely.
I hope it doesn't. I hope that the TV executives back home realise that we need to go back just to the two halves of football rather than the four quarters. That's why I said to Dean Furman deliberately, your thoughts on the first half rather than the first quarter. Because it's a tactical timeout as well, isn't it?
It is pretty much. You can get some good information, you know, from people who've been watching from a higher position than the head coach as well, to get that onto the players.
So we'll see whether the words of wisdom from the two 74-year-olds, Miroslav Kubek and Hugo Broos, what words of wisdom they've been able to impart. Interestingly, the clock continues to tick, and the three giant screens that overhang the playing surface here in Atlanta tell me that 26.5 minutes have been played despite having that 3-minute break as the ball by Apollis. And now the opportunity for Reyners to turn, looks into the edge of the area, but there was Derrida back there who was able to clear the Czech. And Sheik, who was trying to get away but unable to do so. South Africa, though, trailing by 1-0. Remember, 8 of the third best finishers in the groups will still go through to the last 32. But for South Africa, who would be up against South Korea in Monterrey, once again playing at altitude, they're going to give themselves a tall order, especially with their inferior goal difference. It would be very, very difficult for them to get through with 2 defeats, you would think. And that's why they've got to get them something out of this game, as the Czech Republic have everybody back inside their own half. I'm quite happy for South Africa to have the ball on the halfway line. Sofal just dropped in there, the former West Ham United man, to clear for the Czech Republic. Schick will hold the ball up, plays it back towards Sofal, who now plays for Hoffenheim. 179 appearances without a goal during his 5 years as a Hammer. But he was always dependable, wasn't he, as a right-back? Very dependable, yeah. You knew what you was going to get from him every time. 100% commitment. Same with Souček there, the two really good players. And actually has built up quite a good understanding with Robin Hranac, who also plays for Hoffenheim on that side of the defence, as South Africa get a free kick. And the referee, Tori Penso, just having a word in the ear of Lojek, who, with a high boot, just caught the knee of McKenna. In fact, no, he caught him on the foot, didn't he? Yeah, it looks like he gets a touch on the ball first, but they're normally penalised when the foot's too high. Sadlek's goal gives the Czech Republic the lead. Nearly half an hour played, but there will be added time here in the first half in Atlanta. Live on BBC Radio 5 Live. Switzerland-Bosnia live from LA at 8 o'clock. Canada-Qatar from Vancouver at 11 o'clock. And then at 2 in the morning, Mexico-South Korea. So 2 of the 3 co-hosts will be filling up the rest of our coverage on the 8th day of this World Cup. South Africa get another throw. A little bit disjointed, really, since the restart after the drinks break. Half an hour played. And then from the back, Mabakazi, central defender. Ocon tried to play it forward up towards Maseko. Czech Republic will give something to chase for Lojek, but it runs away from him and out for a throw that South Africa will take. We've just really seen the long-range efforts from them. couple of good crosses in, I guess, but they were unable to get on the end of.
Yeah, they've had a couple of good crosses, but they're really comfortable on the ball. But I also think that the Czech Republic allow them to be as well. They don't go and chase them and get drawn out of position. You know, I think South Africa have gone for a little bit of pace, but there's not a lot of space in behind to run into at the moment, and that's where, you know, the Czechs have been really well disciplined, and they've picked the ball up again from the front two.
This is Schick, who's able to turn 30 yards out from goal, waits for the supporting red shirts to join him. Sadly, the goal scorer passes the ball out wide. This now is with Soyka. Krejci gives it back towards Soyka. Krejci still is available. Here is the Wolverhampton Wanderers man who was on loan at Molineux from Girona last year. They switch it to this near side, the right now for Sofal. Holesh, and Holesh will go back towards the goalkeeper Kovar, all in blue, who collects it midway through his own half. Krejci makes himself available. I think Schick will be glad of the support of Plojek. As we were saying earlier, he became very isolated in that opening game. Czech Republic, though, still have the ball. Holesh looks for the run of Derrida, experienced midfielder, but that was good defending. And McCarthy showed his strength to shrug off Derrida, and then Apollos was fouled, and referee Tori Pensa will give a free kick for South Africa.
Yeah, really good defending from Bakazi there, and I've had good reports on him. He plays in the MLS for Chicago and has had a great start to the season.
Rapid rise for him, really, because he actually only made his pro debut for Orlando early 2025, and then within a year he's off to Chicago Fire.
I know, yeah, and he's played all 12 games, I think, for him this season, and done really well.
Madibo's cross on the run, headed away by Sofal, right-hand side of the penalty area, and then cleared by Sadliek. He's only 20 years of age as well. The move was $3 million for the central defender.
The MLS recruiting far and wide.
Well, that I think was another one of the criticisms for Hugo Broos, that a lot of this squad are domestic-based players.
They are. I think I've read 16 of the players play for the top two teams. Was it the Pirates and the Sundowns?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was Williams, the goalkeeper, who plays for the Sundowns. Downfield, South Africa still trying to feel their way back into the game, but the Czech Republic have protected Kovar very well so far. He clears up towards the halfway line. Schick drops back off the chest. Sadliek just managed to get the ball out. The referee's played the advantage there. He was taken out with Sadliek, but not before he released the ball to Sofal. Derrida's made the run ahead of him, but it goes out of play for a throw. And now the yellow card is going to be shown, and Mokoena is going to get a yellow card. It is the first of the game so far. Remember, they were shown 2 reds in that opening game against Mexico. They've got to keep their discipline.
They do. It was a little bit late there. I don't think there was much intent there. Just a little bit late.
But Mokoena was booked in the first game. He will now be suspended for their final game against South Korea in Monterrey.
Yeah, there's definite contact there, and it's a foul, but not much intent.
So Mokoena will be suspended. That is just another blow for Hugo Broos to deal with, as his side trail by 1-0 with just over 10 minutes to go to half-time here on BBC Radio 5 Live, also available on BBC Sounds. Williams to Mokoena, back once again, happy for the goalkeeper to have the ball away towards our right, brings it out of his penalty area. Apollos has just dropped midway through the South Africa half, being tracked by Holesh. They give the ball away. Now this is Plojek looking for the run of Holesh, who'd stayed forward, and a diagonal ball went away from him and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, they're set up, the Czechs, without the ball. He's very much man for man, and there's no space for the South Africans to go into. And, you know, they gave the ball away there, and they've always got the front two available when they win it back.
Dean Smith, who's with us here on 5 Live. Czech Republic still leading South Africa by 1-0. South Africa have actually had more possession than the Czech Republic, 57%. Czech Republic with that early goal with Sadliek. He bounced bounced off Mokoena there, and Mokoena with a back pass towards his goalkeeper. But in terms of attempts, the Czech Republic have had 4 attempts on goal. South Africa at the minute still struggling to try and make headway. Adams back towards Williams, first time clearance, headed forward by Sadlier. That was Mbatha headed forward for South Africa. Comes out towards Madiba on this near side, the left. Again, not real much movement, very static, those yellow shirts. They are forced to go back and across. And now on that far side is Mudau, the right back, hits it up into the air, looking for Adams, who's made that run forward from midfield. Here is Adams, out it goes to the right-hand side for Maseko, but the flag is up, and that'll be a free kick to the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it was a good deep run from Adams. First time they actually asked a question of their back three, and they ended up with possession, but a sloppy offside.
Because of your observations, and that we both noted as well, that there are a lot of general football fans in this stadium coming from surrounding states, as Czech Republic are attacking on that far side, and it is with Lojek. Goes to ground outside the area, no foul, says the referee. I'll come back to that point as South Africa come forward. And it is with Adams running on the right-hand side. It's a good, strong run. Ball is forward. Now the excitement builds. South Africa with a cutback from Maseko. And it will run out of play for a corner kick. That was more like it. I think that was the pace that Hugo Broos has wanted to see from his side.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's their way against the Czech Republic. You know, they lose the ball deep and they break and have a counter-attacking opportunity. The Czechs back off and he keeps travelling with the ball.
Certainly was, it required Chev to actually come back, the midfielder, to head the ball behind. We'll be off to the cricket where there's been a wicket after this corner kick. South Africa looking for an equaliser in the latter stages of this first half. Apollos with the cross. The acrobatic effort didn't quite come off, and Derrida will hold it up and now looks for Wojek to make the strong run through the middle, but the yellow shirts were quickly back to curb any counter-attack. So Ellie Oldroyd, wicket at the Oval.
Yes, Joe Root is out for 46. He was given out LBW. Matt Henry, the bowler, reviewed straight away, but it was upheld on review. So 170 for 4 England. Joe Root still 2 runs short of that 14,000 mark, and England currently 221 behind New Zealand.
Commentary continues on Sports Extra. Thanks, Ellie. Yeah, the point I was going to make about before the South African attack that whipped the crowd up is that up until that point, the atmosphere had felt quite flat.
Yeah, it has been a little bit flat. There's not been much goalmouth action. It's been a bit of a midfield battle, and you know, no team really having lots of chances. You look at the game last night with England, there was lots of chances and got people out of their seats.
But we've seen some countries who have been backed by thousands of supporters. There is a strong contingent of red in the end away towards our left, just in front of those escalators for the Czech Republic. A smattering of yellow as they were caught playing out from the back in the opening game against Mexico. And once again it was Mpakazi, the central defender, who had to take decisive action just to quickly clatter the ball out of play on the far side.
Yeah, and it sets up for another Soufal long throw into the penalty box. Using their aerial prowess, we've seen an awful lot of long throws now grow into the Premier League the last season.
So Soufal runs over to that far side, the left. There's actually 2 balls on the pitch at the moment. Sadliek is the one who's just going to have to also run across and nudge it off the playing surface. And now he will make his way back into the penalty area. They're jostling for position inside the penalty area. Hranac is forward from the back, as is Krejci. The header out by Ocon at the heart of that South African defence. Czech Republic still lead by a goal to 0. 5 minutes played. Back it comes, every outfield player in the South African half. As Soyka back towards his goalkeeper, and Kovar hits it right-footed, goes direct right down the middle. Bounced away off Mbakazi's legs, picked up by Sadliek. Did well to actually ride the first challenge. And then the free kick was given as Schick had his legs taken away from him. And that'll be a free kick to the Czech Republic, over 30 yards out, and another yellow card shown. What's she like as a referee? Is she a disciplinarian, Tori Penso?
No, she does let a lot of things go, to be honest. We've had 5 or 6 games, I think, in the MLS, and we've actually won all of them, so I like it when I see her name on the team sheet.
Tori's a lucky omen. I tell you what, you're not doing bad for lucky omens, and also when you play here at the stadium, it's a banker then, isn't it? If she's the referee and you're playing here at Atlanta.
It should be, that's for sure.
Talent Mabat was shown the yellow card. That's the second yellow card then shown to South Africa as they continue to trail. 4.5 minutes to go to half-time on BBC Radio 5 Live. Czech Republic still leading by a 0-0. Now this free kick is over 30 yards out, but it is in quite a central position as Miroslav Kubek watches on. The 74-year-old, the balding, arms folded, and from distance Glojek was well off target as it sailed into that 3-tiered stand away towards our right-hand side, and still they lead by a 0-0.
Another very ambitious effort from a long distance.
For a striker, his record isn't particularly prolific for Czech Republic. 5 goals in 44 appearances. Actually made his debut at the age of 18, 6 years ago. He plays for Hoffenheim. As South Africa clear downfield through goalkeeper Williams, drops on the halfway line. Vranac, also of Hoffenheim, heads the ball forward. South Africa get it though. In the midfield now with Talent Mabat. Now out to Madiba, the left back. Ahead of him is Apollos. Apollos plays the diagonal ball, the laid off back towards Apollos. Apollos looks up, diagonal ball in towards the penalty area, headed away by Krejci. Because there was a good supporting run by Mudau, the right back, into the penalty area, and likes to get forward, but South Africa dealt with it.
Yeah, a little bit better though from South Africa. I think when you're playing against a team that defend man for man, you've got to get the up, back and throughs, so you need some deep runs from midfielders. Adams made a really good run there, and it dragged the defenders across, so their right back ends up on the far post free.
2.5 minutes to go to half-time. Dean Smith, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Czech Republic still lead by a 0-0. Madiba for South Africa, just inside the Czech Republic half. This is Mokoena, opens it up a little bit. Mudau now the right back, right of the centre circle, and then back it now goes to Madiba. His ball in field, laid off, played early. Apollos tries to stick it on the end of it too. Always there was Reyners, holds it up. Ball played out towards the right-hand side by Mudau. They attack on the right-hand side, and then strikes the upper body of Krejci. And it rebounds out for a corner kick to South Africa, finishing the half strongly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because all the corners so far, they've gone short. I'm wondering whether they will put one into the penalty box or not. No, they've gone short again.
Have gone short on that right-hand side. It was an area of the field that South Korea looked to exploit when they played as the back three down that left-hand side of their defence. Indeed, that's where the second goal came from for South Korea. And certainly South Africa have looked to try and exploit it on that right-hand side with just over 60 seconds remaining as they look for an equaliser. Williams comes out midway through his own half, finds Ocon, the central defender. Mudau, that was a poor touch from the right back. Presented it straight towards Schick. It'll go out for a South African throw that they take quickly. Here is Reyners, holds the ball up, lays it back. Now the switch of play along the ground, finds Madiba. Apollos is ahead of him. Madiba goes in field. It was a little bit more congested, and the shot on the run hit first time from Mokoena, the midfielder. It was a rising effort, right-footed, off-target goal kick. 1-0 Czech Republic.
Again, I think there's probably better options than that shot. They took a quick throw in again, and that's where I'd like to see South Africans, once they get it into the front man, that he's got someone to set it to, and then he's got a runner in behind them. I think that's the way they'll hurt the Czechs.
and their decision making, because as we sit high up we can see the play opening up in front of us. The options seem better to go wide rather than to the more congested area of the field for that last attack.
Yeah, Czech Republic are happy with them coming inside. That's where their strength is. I think if they can double up on the wing back and drag a centre back out there, that will help them.
We'll see how much stoppage time there will be to be added on. 4 minutes from the fourth official, who is Kirk Campbell Kawama War from New Zealand.
4 minutes additional time.
Yeah, that's 3 minutes for the hydration break and a minute for the goal, I'm guessing.
Which we're now into. So 4 more minutes, a minimum of 4 here on 5 Live. Standing by to steer you through half-time is Lady Kelly Cates, back on 5 Live, as we'll get an update in the cricket and the US Open golf, and also, if you missed it, Scandinavia on day 3 of the Royal Ascot meeting won the Gold Cup. The 11-8 favourite came home for the big race of the day. Tomorrow, day 4 of Royal Ascot. There'll actually be coverage from 2 o'clock on Sports Extra 3. Currently on Sports Extra is the cricket, and there's been another wicket. Ellie.
Yes, a little bit of trouble for England because Harry Brook is out. Very good bowling by Matt Henry. Brook out LBW for 24. So James Rue is out in the middle, and Jordan Cox will be the next batter out. So England will have 2 debutants to try and steer them closer to that New Zealand first innings score of 391. But Harry Brook out for 24. England 177 for 5.
Thank you, Ellie. Commentary on Sports Extra then. Closing stages, and a lot of the supporters are now making their way through the various gangways and exits. And we can certainly see them walking in their great numbers away in that end, away towards our left, where that little bit of the stadium just opens out a fraction, and you can see the concourse. South Africa in stoppage time, still looking for an equaliser. Mokoena drops to his knees, and Tori Penso, the referee, will make her decision and give that free kick to South Africa that is touched but wasn't from the right place and will have to be retaken. What do you think that Hugo Broos will want to see more of South Africa's second half?
I think he wants to see some more deep runners. I think you've got to draw their defenders out and have some runners going behind. I think everything so far has been in front of the Czech Republic, and I think they won't be too disappointed with how they've defended against it so far. There's been some crosses into the box from South Africa, but I think they could create a few more 2v1s on the outsides.
Ball played up to Adams. Makesa rather plays it up, now lays it off behind him. And then Mudau, the right back. South Africa playing in front of the Czech Republic at the moment. And Czech Republic with Krejci, the captain, just brings everybody out, and that's that line of back 5. Then it enables South Africa to go long with a high ball. Making a run out towards that far side is Mudau, who stayed forward the right back, but it goes out of play for a goal kick. Very well drilled, the Czech Republic, as Tori Penso. She just felt there was a little bit of can't be time wasting. She's just had a word with Mudau, the right back, regarded as one of the best right backs in Africa. But when you're up against Hakimi of Morocco, he won't be the best right back in Africa, because you're dealing with one of the best right backs in the world with the Moroccan player, as South Africa in possession with Mudau's forward ball. Adams, run off him was from Reynolds. Sapolis comes into a central area. Instead it is with Madiba, whose cross is dropped by the goalkeeper. Opportunity for South Africa, good block by Krejci, because the goalkeeper stretching couldn't gather it in, and there was an opening for South Africa, but they couldn't take it. And now South Africa with Hojle can run forward, but he runs straight into trouble.
And you asked me earlier what you want to see more of if you're South African. It's the ball carrier there. Go and run at them. Go and ask them a question. And he ends up going past the player and opening the other side of the pitch up really well.
Interesting there, Dean, as well. We had 3-4 South African players who just dropped to their knees. They have really
Very much at fault for the first goal. I know that he's a fantastic player who brings in a lot in the build-up.
I'm not sure I remember it either. So, right, guys, only one place to start. England finally got their campaign underway with a 4-2 win over Croatia. What an entertaining game. Game of the tournament so far?
I think so, yeah. I think it's quite strange to be talking about England as the entertainers of the World Cup, particularly after the Southgate era, which, as successful as it was, I don't think you could accuse it of consistently setting pulses racing. But England were really good, and also deficient in some ways, which I think made the game more interesting. But they didn't have a lot of control in the first half, had more in the second, but they had this explosive scoring power. And we saw Harry Kane really turn up. We saw Jude Bellingham have a quiet first half, but then produce maybe the moment of the game right at the start of the second. And you saw the quality that they have off their bench as well with Marcus Rashford. So I thought it was a good statement because Croatia also showed enough to show that they're a good team.
Yeah, they've been a great tournament team as well recently, Croatia. It's a real banana skin, I think, of a first game in a tournament where Spain have tripped up early on, Netherlands have tripped up early on. It's been difficult, actually, for some of those top teams. Even France, kind of similar to England, had a good result and kind of a bit of a sketchy performance along the way. And 4 very different goals, I think. You always want your striker to get off the mark early. Came, with 2 goals inside the first half and then kind of 2 very different goals again later on in the game. So having those different threats, I think, is really important.
Not just us being biased, because this is an excerpt from Jacob Whitehead's Day 7 recap. And this is from Bild, the German tabloid, who said, "That was the best game of the World Cup. Thank you for these 90 minutes. What a spectacle. What a festival." Not going to argue with that. No one could say it wasn't exciting, could they? Before we chat more about England, let's check in with our England correspondent, Jack Pitbrook.
I'm here outside the Dallas Stadium where England just got their World Cup campaign underway with, I think, a pretty impressive 4-2 win over Croatia. It was an interesting game. England were pretty poor in the first half, much better in the second half after Tuchel told them that it doesn't really matter if you lose, it's all about playing our way. And England came out and they did play the Thomas Tuchel way. They were intense, they were aggressive, they won the ball back quickly. They played with that kind of high-intensity style that Tuchel's been talking about ever since he took over. The big question really is, can they do this in their next few games? Next up it's Ghana in Boston and then it's Panama in New Jersey. They won't have the benefit of the air-conditioned stadium here. And I just wonder whether they will be able to play with the same running, the same pressing, the same high intensity that they showed in this game. Because if they can't, then I just wonder if some of the defensive issues we saw, particularly in the first half here, could get shown up. I don't think any of England's back 4 looked particularly comfortable. I think the decision to not play Mark Gahey, I'm not sure if that worked. John Stones was very much at fault for the first goal. I know that he's a fantastic player who brings in a lot in the build-up, but I wasn't that convinced with England defensively. Even O'Reilly at left-back, even Reece James at right-back wasn't really at his best. So I just wonder if a quicker opposition with a bit more speed in their attack might be able to exploit that a bit more. But overall, I think it was a very good way for England to start their group. This is the hardest group game. They started with the 3 points and a bit of a vindication for Tuchel's ideas and everything Tuchel has said. And I think that probably counts them in good stead going into the next game.
Well, we'll unpick everything that Jack talked about there, but I feel like he was keen to point out the difference between the first half and the second half. Touched on Thomas Tuchel's halftime team talk as well. What was the big difference for you? Because England, it felt like they were energised in that second half and had a real intensity.
Yeah, I think we saw bits of that intensity in the first half. Kind of the counter press was quite good. They're actually really good, I think, when they lost the ball, kind of in making those quick regains. The problem was too many of those turnovers. And I think when they then got into pressing situations, they got a bit stuck. Kane was quite deep a lot of the time. We had both Gordon and Madueke quite high, marking the centre-backs, but no one really putting pressure on the goalkeeper. And they came out, and I think Kane said it after the game as well, that they kind of went full throttle, full gas, were really kind of pushing up for some turnovers, which they could have scored from, I think, at 3-2. But it's something that Anthony Barry spoke about at half-time. He was speaking to ITV and was probably quite critical of the performance. He spoke about nervous energy, kind of in the build-up being there playing out from the back, not kind of before the game. And that kind of they were playing short when they should go long and vice versa. They were going long when they should go short. And that kind of they fell back into these kind of bad habits and were kind of a bit too deep towards the end of the half. So they really did step it up, and I think that showed. They basically scored not direct from kickoff, but from kind of the regain they got after Croatia kicked off. 23 pass move, which was really tidy in the end, and was a lot of kind of working the ball left and right, up and down. That pass in behind early on wasn't on. They kind waited for their moment there, and then Anderson obviously hits it in behind and finds Bellingham. A pass they've been looking for a lot in the first half and kept kind of turning it over. Bellingham, I think, was trying to find Reece James with a similar run earlier on. So the ideas were there in the first half. It was more about executing, I think, in the right way.
And Toomey, you already talked about Bellingham's goal. Just how crucial was that goal, the timing of it as well? It's a few minutes into the second half. Just felt like maybe it set the tone for that second 45.
Yeah, it was massive, because I think Anthony Barry's halftime comments you mentioned there, they were quite candid, surprisingly so, from a tactical point of view, I thought. And it created the impression that England really needed to get elements of that first half out of their system. And I think what that Bellingham goal did, not just the manner in which he converted it, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, but the move as a whole, it was a real vindication of the entire game plan. And I think from there you saw them grow in confidence. You saw them secure the ball much better, control the game much better, just as I think Croatia's energy levels maybe started to wane and the gap started to grow. And then, of course, they took them apart clinically, really, in transition for the fourth goal. So I thought the second half performance was very impressive. And it felt to me quite a European style game. I think the closed stadium really helped with that in terms of the intensity that both teams brought. But England, as Kane said afterwards, had too much for Croatia to live with.
We'll get on to Kane, but just to stick with Jude Bellingham for a minute, did last night settle that number 10 debate? Because there was so much chat, so much narrative going into this first game. Who should start? Should it be him? Should it be Morgan Rogers?
Yeah, Tuchel seems to really like Morgan Rogers, and I think they're slightly different as profiles. If you want someone that's kind of going to receive the ball back to goal, really strong, really physical, I think Bellingham can do that. Rogers is probably one of the best in the world at doing that. Likewise, the way Bellingham was breaking into the space, making those runs in behind, I think kind of even on transition, he was really trying to get the ball and drive out the defence. At times he should have passed when he kind of kept possession. So there's different options there. I think it's a good problem to have. It's one you probably want to have as a coach. But I don't know if we're going to see kind of just Bellingham play the whole tournament there as a starter, or Rogers come in and completely displace him. I think Tuchel will use both kind of equally.
Let's talk about Harry Kane then, to me, because, of course, he was dropping deep again. It felt like he was everywhere, and maybe that was epitomised by the fact that he blocked that shot in stoppage time as well. But there was so much movement around him. Does it almost feel he was as effective as he is in that role when he's at Bayern Munich?
Yeah, and I think that was the theory of the squad that Tuchel picked. I think that's why it made sense from the outset. You compare with 2 years ago where you had Phil Foden playing on the left wing, trying to restrict his number 10 instincts, fullbacks not really going forward. There was no one running beyond Kane, no one for him to aim for. So he was doing a lot of the same things, but it looked completely different because England were making the pitch small. That isn't happening under Tuchel, because even though Anthony Gordon had quite a quiet game, his presence there and his tendencies create space and add value to what Kane's doing. And then you had Madueke on the right, who is an imperfect player, but he's consistently aggressive and direct. And so he offers Kane another valuable outlet. And you saw early in the second half Bellingham's willingness to run beyond him as well, which Morgan Rogers will give when he plays. So I just think he's surrounded by players that do the things that he wants to do and allow him to act as the 10 as well as the 9, depending on the circumstances of the game.
Is this now, Thom, Tuchel's template for England moving forward? Because Jack posing the question there, saying, can they replicate it? Can they do it again?
Well, I think they won't necessarily need to replicate it in the next two games. They're going to play Ghana and Panama, who played out, I think, quite a stale game for most of the match before a late Ghana winner. So it's going to be, I think, maybe more like a Southgate kind of performance of kind of grinding a team down, having to break them down. But that's the kind of display you'd want to see in a knockout round game. And Croatia are a knockout round opponent. England have played them in a World Cup knockout round, obviously, 8 years ago. So it's what he wants. He spoke, I think it was last March, about kind of wanting that intensity, basically wanting to replicate the Premier League with this England team and kind of, bring that style that they're playing at their clubs week in, week out, which makes perfect sense, rather than trying to kind of reinvent the wheel when they get to the national team. So yeah, I think we saw really, really good signs of that. And also to, I think, do it late in the game counts for a lot, not just doing it for the first 60 minutes while players are fresh, but sustaining it. And I think England were really convincing in the end, which is probably the best compliment you can get in addition to the win.
Yeah.
Welcome to Harlan's Bank. Revolut. He earns interest, paid daily, and withdraws anytime.
Like that. Toomey, talk to me about Reece James, who obviously started at right back, moved into midfield when Declan Rice went off. What did you make of his performance?
probably not his best, but I think we saw enough of the qualities that persuaded Tuchel to not only pick him, but really envision him as the starting right back for this team, because he does have that ability, as the circumstances of the game change, as the requirements of the squad dictate, to move into midfield. And I think actually when he started playing that role for Chelsea, he looked quite awkward there, but he's really adapted to it. He's got much more of a 360 view of the game when he's in the middle of the pitch now, and he's much more reliable receiving the ball. I think we can see a little bit more of him as an attacking force. There were times when I was a little bit worried for his hamstrings because he went on some pretty long bursting runs, which Chelsea, I think, have tried to limit, honestly, in the way that they've used him. So that's maybe something to watch as we go through the tournament. But we know he's got that quality in the final third as well. So that's potentially another outlet, shall we say, that England haven't really scratched the surface of yet.
He's got Tuchel's trust, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Some good stats on commentary last night about this being the most experienced England team ever, I think, at a World Cup in terms of previous World Cup experiences. And quite a lot of these players have won trophies in recent years as well. So I think that's really, really valuable.
Well, we can't move on from England without talking about the centre of defence, because a couple of goals conceded in the first half. It felt like they were loose at the back. And if this is something to clean up for moving forward for the rest of the tournament, this is maybe the issue at the moment. It felt like they were open, even in the opening moments. There was a little bit of worry.
Yeah, and I think it was clear coming into the competition that John Stones was probably Tuchel's single biggest call in terms of the level of faith that he's got in him versus how little he's played in the last year or so at Manchester City. He really values what he can bring to England in possession, but England weren't at their best in possession in the first half. So the focus was really on the defensive shortcomings. And I think Stones maybe looked a little bit rusty, a little bit limited in moments, but also I don't know how seamless the chemistry is between him and Ezri Konsa yet. I think Konsa's a very solid centre-back in his own right, but Mark Gay could certainly count himself very unfortunate not to start that game after the season he's had and how well he adapted to playing for Manchester City. You know he's big enough for games like this.
Will Gay return for the Ghana game?
Yeah, I think we'll see some rotation, partly to keep players fresh, and you don't just want to have the same team. You're going to have to use your squad. We've seen that from, all teams, but especially the tournament winners. You go back to Argentina, France in years gone past. You need to use those options and kind of bleed them all in.
How good is it to see the players that did come on make an impact as well?
Yeah, I think it was, because I think it again justifies the hierarchy of roles that Tuchel has established in this squad. He wanted players who were not going to be sitting on the bench thinking, I should be out there starting. I mean, some players all believe that to a degree, but if you have players that buy into the role that they've been called up to play, as Rashford clearly has, then they're in the right mindset to come on and affect the game. And, Bukayo Saka won't be a substitute, I'm sure, for the whole tournament, but he came on and created a moment, and Rashford did exactly what he was supposed to do, which was hold the width, become the open man, and then finish clinically. So it's really encouraging that England have a working hierarchy of roles that can stand them in good stead, not just in the group stage, but as we get into the knockout rounds.
What rating would we give England's opener then? Because I feel like you almost don't want the perfect start. You want a few things that you can tweak and make adjustments to moving forward.
We're going out of 10?
Let's do that.
Probably an 8, I think. The first half counts a couple of points against them, but they recovered it really well. And obviously winning is, at this kind of level, the most important.
What do you reckon, Toomey?
Yeah, well, can I give a first half and a second half rating?
I'd probably
That's
allowed, actually.
I'd probably give us maybe a 6 for the first half and an 8 for the second half. So a 7 overall. I think they can click into a higher gear than this, but there was plenty of encouragement and I think plenty of theory of the case for how Tuchel wants this team to play.
Well, elsewhere on day 7, Luis Diaz scored and assisted in a 3-1 win for Colombia against Uzbekistan. Ghana, in the same group, of course, as England, needed a stoppage time winner to see off Panama 1-0. But the shock of the day saw DR Congo get a 1-1 draw with Portugal. Before we talk about that, Nick Miller was in Houston. Let's hear from him now.
It's not quite the level of shock that Cape Verde drawing with Spain was, but it's not too far away. Congo playing their first World Cup since 1974. Portugal theoretically one of the favourites. For better or worse, a lot of the debate and the discussion after this game and during it, to be fair, was about Cristiano Ronaldo, who for probably about 70 minutes, didn't do a thing. It's not as even if he did things badly, he just didn't do anything at all. Then he missed a couple of chances, very similar chances, but not complete sitters, around the 70-minute mark. Then after that, he did nothing again, which it's difficult to say that it's his fault, any of this. It really should be Roberto Martinez, who is still picking him for reasons that aren't entirely clear, although he did say after the game that it wouldn't make sense for someone to drop someone who's one of the greatest goal scorers in football history when they needed a goal. I think the key word there is history. A lot of the debate possibly should be
Americans, Mexicans, Japanese. They're from a league of nations who have made their various way across the United States. And talking of distance, 834 miles away in New York City. The diner tomorrow with Steve Crossman will be on from 1 till 3. Once again, looking ahead to the next set of action on day 9, which includes Scotland against Morocco, live on 5 Live from Boston, 11 o'clock tomorrow night. But we're back underway here in Atlanta, and Czech Republic are leading South Africa by a 1-0. And as Kelly said too, or Dean Furman said, their World Cup is very much on the line. They've got to get it all out there now in this second half. After losing that opening fixture 2-0 to Mexico, they find themselves behind, and never before have they lost back-to-back matches in the World Cup for what is this, their 4th World Cup. But their first since 2010, when of course they were hosts. In fact, actually, I'm told that my research has gone to pot, saying that Steve Crossman will be 834 miles away in New York City because of the Scotland game. He'll be live in Boston as Czech Republic are attacking. Derrida inside the area, shot blocked. It was a good block too.
Yeah, very good block. It was a big chance.
Sadliak from distance fires it in, tipped over by the goalkeeper. Hit it first time, left-footed.
Yeah, I think the keeper made a little bit too much of that. It wasn't a difficult one, but he just has a bad touch. I think if he takes it for a better touch, he probably passes that into the bottom corner, but a really good block.
That was one for the cameras. As the first block came in, there was 2 players who both went to get it. In fact, it was Shev who actually fired it in, not Sadliak, left-footed. But it was a strong one-handed wrist to tip it over from Ron Williams, the South African.
Again, if there's good delivery here now, they're going to be a threat. Wasn't such a good delivery first corner.
No, it wasn't. Leading by a 1-0. Corner kick on that far side, the right. Will run through the 2 teams for you in a moment. Red shirts for Czech Republic. It's an outswinger from the right-hand side, and the header from Schick was straight at Williams.
Big chance. Big chance. He gets a good header either side of the goalkeeper. I think he scores there.
You talked before about the when he had that tame header early doors, about the threat that they pose. And you were right as well. 7 of the last 14 goals at a World Cup have been headers. As Kovar is in goal, it is a back 5, Sofal, Vranic, Krejci, Holesh, and then Sojka, the midfield of Derrida and Sadliak, with Chev behind Lojek and Schick. And for South Africa, in their yellow shirts and green shorts, as we watch them play from left to right, they have Williams in goal, Mudau, Ocon, McBarzi, and Madiba is the defence. Adams, Mabat, Mokoena in the midfield, Polis, Reyners and Maseko as a front 3 for South Africa, who trail by a 1-0 early in the second half. Mokoena, who will miss the final group game through suspension after picking up a yellow card in the first half. Here he is outside the centre circle, looking for the run of Mudau, who gets in behind in his first time cross, takes a deflection and loops up in the air and goes behind for a corner kick. It needed that run of Hojek, actually, the striker who tracked the run.
Yeah, much better from South Africa already. Polish makes a forward run, and then straight after, Mudau makes a really good forward run as well, and they end up defending it well in the end.
Will they play it short, or will they thrust the ball in towards the penalty area? It is knocked short to the right corner of the box, back out towards Apollos to deliver the ball in. But that was attacked by Sheik to head the ball clear for Czech Republic. Fired in from long range on this occasion from Barkazi. Potential counter-attack on for the Czech Republic. It had Derrida just had a little glance out towards his right. So far would have been making the overlap run into a lot of space.
Yeah, he needed to play the ball into the space, and I think they would have got a big chance from a counter-attack there.
That's the voice of Dean Smith on BBC Radio 5 Live. Here in Atlanta, South Africa looking for an equaliser. That was an opportunity for Soyka, but caught in possession. South Africa now look for Mudau into the penalty area. But Sadliek had gone back with him, the midfielder. And Mudau, the right back, has stayed down, and that will be a little bit of a delay. But he does like to get forward at every opportunity, doesn't he?
He does. They're asking more questions. They're making some really good runs in behind now. Little ball in between the left-sided centre-back and the full-back. He defends it well in the end.
But for Miroslav Kobek, the 74-year-old Czech Republic coach, they're a tall, physical side. Happy to sort of like to sit in deep, aren't they?
They are. They're a team that, you know, are quite comfortable not having possession. They become a threat when they win the ball back because they leave two up top, and their wing backs are quite progressive in running forward, but they're quite happy sitting fairly deep and allowing the opposition to have the ball in front of them.
The winners of Group A would actually play a third place side, but it would be in Mexico City, so Mexico will really have the incentive to continue to stay there when they play a little later on against South Korea.
Good ball.
There's a ball in towards the penalty area, towards Derrida, who'd got forward from midfield. That diagonal ball, they didn't play many diagonal balls in the first game. The balls that were played into the box in the first match were all quite straight.
They were. That was a great ball. He saw him arriving at the far post as well. Well defended in the end.
And Derrida, one of the 5 changes. 35-year-old, almost on the end of it.
Soufal will be happy he's taking it that side. He doesn't have to run all the way across this side to take the long throw.
In it comes now. It's a flat throw from that right-hand side. Hollesh with a little flick on. And in fact, actually came off the South African defender behind him, and that will be a corner kick to Czech Republic.
They're so dangerous from long throws and balls into the box. They've got, as we've spoken about, an awful lot of height. South Africa marking man for man. I think they've just got the 2 spare man at the near post space, and they'll get some blocks in.
In it comes. Krejci is there, and Krejci's head is just over the top. Really does make a nuisance of himself. He got the opening goal.
Yeah, just a little bit double movement in the penalty box, and he goes one way, then checks the other way, and gets a free header at the end of it.
But not only did he score in that opening game against South Korea, he popped up with goals, and late goals as well, against Ireland and Denmark in the playoffs. Proved to be quite adept.
Yeah, and it was heartbreaking for Ireland as well. I remember watching that game.
6'3". Couple of goals that he scored for Wolves in his 32 appearances whilst he was on loan from Girona. 7 minutes into the second half. Czech Republic still lead by a goal to 0. South Africa at some point will have to throw caution to the wind. Look for a ball up towards Reyners. Krejci, though, chips the ball out to this near side. Ball played long then by Czech Republic. Brought under control by Ocon, the central defender. They work it into the centre circle for Mabat. Apollis now 30 yards out from goal. Mudau, right corner of the area. Pulls it back, played first time. This now is with McQuena, the midfielder, and then the shot is off target, and it was a wayward finish by Maseko.
Some really good play from them. It's just the end product, you know, a little bit more quality with the finishing, just a choice of finish as well at times. You know, I'd like them to get the ball into feet in around the box and wriggle and try and get a couple of shots away that way. Because of the aerial dominance that the Czech Republic will have, and the greater strength in that part of the field over South Africa, the way that they're
filling the midfield, Czech Republic. They're almost inviting South Africa to go wide, but South Africa are reluctant to do so as a result.
Yeah, I mean, you look there, the fullbacks are going really high and wide now, and trying to get the ball into them to then draw somebody out and play inside the line.
Soyka and Derrida have been replaced, and Schultz has come on to replace him, and also Zeleny. So they are basically like-for-like replacements. Zeleny, who played the first game, is very versatile, can play as a central defender or also out wide. He started 8 of the qualifiers, so he has come on to replace Soyka as the left wing-back, Zeleny. And then Schultz has come on to replace Derrida in the centre of midfield. Czech Republic still lead by a 1-0, but South Africa with a police. Out to the far side, the left. 3, 4 yellow shirts inside the penalty area. One of them was a police who went towards the ball. Diagonal ball comes in now, and there was no threat whatsoever. The back three, the central defenders, and the goalkeeper Kovar, happy to see that just sail out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, and Dean said at half-time they can't just throw balls into the penalty box like that. They've got to work it into there, get it into people's feet and have runners running beyond them.
As well as not knowing that this was the birthplace of Coca-Cola, I didn't realise that Atlanta, according to our taxi driver Jerome, they love the hot wings here. He said when you're in Atlanta, you've got to get hot wings, and then he said soul food.
Oh, they love the hot wings, that's for sure. Jerome sounds like the font of all knowledge.
Oh, he was a fascinating character. Said he was working 13 hours a day, loves his manual labour, as well as doing his taxiing. Real character. South Africa bring the ball out of defence with Ocon. Look for the run there of Maseko, but he's just given away a needless free kick. He didn't need to foul Krejci from behind, but it was, despite the boos inside the stadium here in Atlanta, it was the correct decision from Tori Penso. Latest score, by the way, at the Oval, England are 204 for 5 in response to New Zealand's 391. Remember, they had resumed on that overnight score of 291 for 7. So they are trailing by 187 with 5 wickets remaining. Commentary continues on Sports Extra. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. We've got Switzerland, Bosnia-Herzegovina at 8, Canada, Qatar at 11. And then at 2 in the morning, Mexico, South Korea, which is in this group, Group A. The Czech Republic keeping their World Cup hopes alive with a slender lead by a 0-0.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Something happened off the ball, I think.
It's Shev who's gone down, Lucas Shev. Hard-working central midfielder.
I think Tori's seen something, but he was off the ball.
She's having a word. She's surrounded by yellow shirts. If it's McQuena or Mabat, they could be in trouble, bearing in mind that it was a swish of the arm.
Yeah, there wasn't an awful lot in that.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't one of the two players either.
I think he's made the most of it and ended up buying himself a free kick.
So just nothing more than a gentle talking to from our referee down there here in Atlanta. And Czech Republic in no hurry to take it. After losing their opening game to South Korea by 2-1, they've only lost their first 2 games at a World Cup twice before. That was when they were known as Czechoslovakia in 1954 and 1970. As here, Zeleny slides the ball in, the two substitutes looking to combine. Schultz with a pullback. Effort was blocked just inside the penalty area. Zeleny goes behind then for a goal kick.
Again, good play. They've gone direct, won the first header, picked up the second ball and switched it across the top of the box, and a good run inside the box, just didn't quite get the shot away.
Still they lead by a goal to nil. Playing out from the back, South Africa with the goal kick. Back then to Williams. When do you think we said earlier about they might want to twist? When does that, the logic of a coach with still 32 minutes?
I think they have already. You look how high their fullbacks are now. They're playing really high up the pitch. You know, they're looking to drag Czech Republic out. They're looking to run in behind now.
This is Hranac at the heart of that Czech Republic defence to head the ball away. Picked up in the midfield for South Africa as the shot comes in. And that was off target.
That must have been the fourth or fifth effort from over 30 yards. You're not really going to be beating goalkeepers at this level shooting from there. I would suggest, you know, working it into the penalty box a little bit more.
South Africa made a change at half-time, incidentally. Mofokeng came on to replace Adams, which I didn't hear announced inside the studio, inside the stadium. We can't actually see the touchline down below, as we'd already outlined. Didn't actually see that change making, but Mofokeng is on, plays for Orlando Pirates. Once had a trial at Wolves, actually, in October of 2023. And is currently being linked with Rangers. So he's replaced Adams, Mofokeng for South Africa. 1-0, Czech Republic still lead. We've been playing for an hour. There'll be another drinks break in about 8 minutes. Apollos picks it up outside the centre circle. Reynolds drops. Mofokeng lays it off. South Africa with Ocon, the central defender. Forward ball, Apollos is onto it, and he was too sharp. Plays it forward. Mudau has stayed forward. Mudau inside the penalty area, dispossessed by Krejci.
Yeah, I think it was offside. Just went a little bit too early.
It's disorientating. They're not seeing the full pitch, isn't it?
It is. You can't see the linesman, whether the flag's up or not.
But you were right. You called it nevertheless for Mudau.
You can see Apollos now drifting inside and left back going on. And they're trying to create overloads inside the pitch now as well.
Maseko's actually dropped a little bit deeper as well, almost into the position where Adams was, to allow Mofokeng to play almost behind Reynolds, who's chasing and harrying as Krejci back towards his goalkeeper. And that's floated away by Kovar and goes straight to a yellow shirt. Ball in field towards Mokoena was intercepted. This is Hranac at the back. Krejci now to his side. Forward on this near field for this near side for the left for Jeleni. Up towards Klojek. Schick says he was fouled. Referee though was up with play. She says not. South Africa bring it away. Yellow shirts coming forward. Out towards from Madiba to the left. Apollos, who certainly covered a lot of ground. He's looked a little bit of a live wire as Apollos for South Africa. Oswin Apollos, 24 years of age, had a good season for Orlando Pirates with 12 goals in his 43 games, and he's been a regular over the last 3 years for South Africa. Time ticking away, 62 minutes played. Czech Republic still lead by a goal to nil. The first set of matches that are being played in the second round of games in the group stages. And you're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. This is Holeš for Czech Republic. Drills the ball from the right-hand side to the left. Jaroslav Zeleny to come forward for the red shirts of Czech Republic. Schultz back in field. Czech Republic keeping the ball, having a sustained spell of possession, which they probably haven't had for large parts of this second half.
No, they haven't. Came from a cheap pass from South Africa, and they've kept the ball since then.
This is Krejci on the halfway line, edging his way forward. Tells you everything. As the Czech Republic captain keeps the ball, they play it for Klojek, and he fouls his man and will give a free kick. And that was Mudau, who's stayed down as well. Free kick for South Africa. 63 minutes played. BBC Radio 5 Live.
I think I would expect a couple of more substitutions coming soon.
From Czech Republic?
From both.
From both.
I think there's some tired players out there at the moment, so what, 65 minutes in now?
I mean, that's a factor for 2 of their 3 games to be played at altitude. It will have that inhibiting, well, will inhibit the running power of both sides.
Yeah, it will definitely. It will take it out of them, that's for sure.
Czech Republic, who are a hard-working, pragmatic side, but leading by a goal to 0. Although there's going to be a number of sides, you would think, on 3 points who could finish third. And this is maybe a talking point from Scotland as well. Would you rue the fact that you didn't go for more goals? The lack of just the 1 goal, that goal difference, the superior goal difference, could be telling for whoever finishes on the 3 points if you are going to be one of those best placed third place finishers.
Yeah, I just think they had to win the game. Yeah, I don't think they would be ruined. You know, whether they got more goals, it was just about winning that game.
You're staying on, actually, aren't you, to talk a little bit of Scotland after 7 o'clock on 5 Live?
I am, yeah. They've got a few lads I've worked with in that camp, and you know, they're training at our training centre at the moment.
In Charlotte, in fact, should Scotland finish third, there is the potential. They could face the winner of this group. There is a stoppage in play, and in fact, Dean's called it once again. It's going to be changes that South Africa are looking to make. Reyners is going to be one of the players coming off. Ikram Reyners is going off, and coming on is Evidence Makgopa, who's a tall centre forward, works very, very hard, plays for Orlando Pirates, so he plays Reyners. And then the Czech Republic are going to make a couple of changes as well. Souček is going to be coming on, and we're also going to see Lucas Provot.
Yeah, Makgopa came on for Reyners in the last game as well for the last 15 minutes, but they were obviously down to 10 men at that time. He actually did okay as well and kept the ball in and around him.
But the fact that it's
Czechia substitutions.
Hložek and Sadliek have gone off, so that's a striker. So almost going to play 5-4-1 now, Czech Republic, in the closing stages, you would think.
Yeah, I think so.
They're down to a squad of 25 as well, because David Jurasek is out of the tournament with a thigh injury. So
another long throw moment.
The goal scorer Sadliek replaced by Tomáš Souček, comes on for his 92nd appearance. Long throw from the right, downward header by Krejci, blocked, still inside the penalty area, hook clear. Czech Republic doing what they had to do by leading by a goal to 0.
He does great at making first contact. He's got great double movement in the penalty box. He just sucks the defender in and goes the other side and makes a really good run.
He was named the Sparta captain at the age of 23. I think it tells you everything about the qualities that he's got as a leadership qualities when you're given such a responsibility at such a young age.
Yeah, definitely.
Still the 1 goal between the two sides. Schick now playing up front on his own. Schultz back to Hranic, heart of the defence, forward ball. Schick was also dropping deep. Zeleny on this near side, the left. They look for him. And the referee will now say that we've got another drinks break as we are midway through the second half. And once again, the audible boos from the football fans. They do not like the drinks break. They are not alone.
The coaches could have helped us out and made the subs now.
Yeah, they could. In the meantime, we're going to go off to the cricket and Ellie Olroyd.
Evening sunshine here. Deno, we've got about half an hour to go in the day. 209 for 5, England. So they trail by 182 runs. And we've got the 2 debutants at the crease at the moment. Jordan Cox who is on 15, and James Roux on 22 now, 213 for 5. And that was after Joe Root was out for 46, Harry Brook for 24, and we saw 53 from Emilio Gay. You're talking about the booing noise, Deno. We always get the Root noise when Joe Root's at the crease, and the crowd here at the Oval have started going Roux for James Roux as well.
Thanks, Ellie. Commentary on Sports Extra. Ian Carter at the golf.
Rory McIlroy over a birdie putt at the third after a brilliant approach. It's only 2.5 feet, something like that, and in it goes for McIlroy, and that means that he moves to 1 under par, and in a group sharing third place with Sam Burns at the moment. The leaders are at 2 under par. McIlroy's European Ryder Cup teammate Ludwig Aubert playing beautifully, 2 under after 12 holes. He's at 2 under par alongside Sam Stevens. Congested leaderboard, massive test for these players in breezy conditions, and McIlroy just 1 shot off the lead.
Take Me Home, Country Road, being sung here in the stadium. It is a song that you might hear back in England, either at Old Trafford or Valley Parade, but if you're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live, we are live in Atlanta. But back in our studio in Salford is the former South African captain, Dean Furman. Dean, what have you made of South Africa's second half?
Much the same, Ian. There's good possession, but really no threat. I think for all the possession we've had throughout the game, I don't remember the goalkeeper making a save. And as Dean suggested 10 minutes ago or so, we've had 4 or 5 shots from 30 to 40 yards. And I think we have to build into that final third a little bit better. And then that's when our combination play, the exciting players like your Apollos and your Mofokeng coming on, that's when they really come alive. But we're wasting good opportunities, good moments, with poor decisions and striking from distance, which, as Dean suggested, at this level, you're really going to struggle to trouble goalkeepers. So I'd just like to see us advance more into that final third and have a bit more cutting edge.
Dean actually once had a spell at Bradford City, with a mention of Valley Parade, also at Carlisle and Oldham. It certainly feels a lot different to a Boundary Park or a Brunton Park here in this splendid stadium, Dean Smith.
Yeah, it certainly does, and it is nice for me being at Charlotte FC, going to some of this stadium and playing games in the MLS. There's a lot of football-specific stadiums now as well, not so many that are shared with the NFL teams.
This is one of 4 stadiums with a retractable roof that is being used for the World Cup. It's one of 3 that is air-conditioned, with Dallas and Houston as the other 2 as we are back underway. But what I like about the folk of Atlanta or surrounding states, they've made their feelings clear regarding the quarters.
I think they certainly have, yeah. They're football fans here, not NFL fans.
We're back underway then, and we've got, well, the clocks, the giant screens that are suspended above the playing surface. Circular giant screen that will show 3 that we can witness and then 3 on the other side, say that there are 18 minutes of normal time remaining, but we know that not to be the case. You can add at least another, well, 3 minutes for the drinks break, and then with the amount of substitutions, possibly another 3, and then we'll wait to see if there are any more.
That would be really unnerving for a lot of players that I've worked with, or the clock watchers we used to call them, who used to be looking up at the clock and seeing the 90 minutes and thinking, oh, we're near the end. Not with these hydration breaks.
No. And the football fans in the stadium, I don't think it's still been confirmed yet, but the half-time break in the World Cup final, if it's true what they're suggesting, then the football fans will not like that. I don't think the players will either, of a talk of a 25-minute, 30-minute break. As South Africa are attacking on the far side, cross played in low, cleared by Czech Republic. Schick holds it up, manages to try and get away from a challenge, and releases the ball towards Schultz, who hares after it. But running back, it's tidied back by Ocon towards his goalkeeper.
Better again from South Africa. They've just got to tidy up in the final third, show a little bit more quality, whether it's the set for a shot or whether it's turning and getting a shot away themselves.
Ocon plays it short, forward ball. This is Maseko running forward for South Africa, but then he's faced once again by just a body of players as cross comes in, and in the end it was Evidence Magopa who tried to get on the end of it, but lacked any end product. Souček now at the heart of the Czech Republic defence will, I imagine he'll just look to try and sit in for the Czech Republic.
I think that's why he's come on, though. He gives them an aerial threat in the penalty box. He just pulled off the shoulder there. Just couldn't get enough power behind the header.
BBC Radio 5 Live. Round up all the day's action. Once we've finished here, ahead of our next commentary, which will come from Los Angeles. It'll be Chris Coles and Clinton Morrison watching the action for Switzerland against Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then we'll be live in Vancouver for 11 o'clock, Canada, for their second match against Qatar. On a day of busy sport as far as 5 Live is concerned. Royal Ascot, the second test, the US Open Golf, and day 8 here at the World Cup. I was tempted to. It's Krejci. A late challenge. He's going to get the first yellow card for the Czech Republic, with no attempt to play the ball.
Yeah, good ball in, a good little turn in the tight, and he was already committed. Deserved yellow.
That was on Museko. It was a sharp turn, but he went tumbling to the ground, did the South African forward. So Krejci goes into the book. South Africa looking for a dramatic equaliser with 15 minutes remaining. Kovar, though, hasn't, I don't think, had a serious shot to save during the course of this game. He did fumble one cross that was played in at the end of the first half that he made a mess of. That's been his only really cause for concern. Madiba, if he wants to whip it in left-footed, or a Polis with the right boot. Czech Republic have a line of red shirts just inside the area. Madiba actually plays it square. Shot fired in. And Makazi blocked. Comes out to Mudau, the right back, but the referee's blown her whistle. Got 2 balls on the pitch at the moment.
I thought there was another hydration break for a minute.
I tell you what I think that is. I think that might be the ball, the strike that came in from distance. It's lost its pressure.
Yeah, he could have. He could have.
And they've had to kick it off.
Yeah, no.
Mudau went to...
He punctured.
He punctured it with his right boot. Cross comes in again. Making the run forward was Mokoena from the midfield, cleared by the Czech Republic. It was a punctured ball. 14 minutes remain. Well spotted by the referee. Here at the back, they play it across. Ocon, McBarzi. He wants Mudau to go a little forward as he shuffles his way towards the halfway line. Czech Republic, though, with everybody bar Schick back behind the ball, once again crowding the centre of midfield, making it very, very hard for South Africa to actually play through them. But because it is a 5 at the back, because the wing-backs now have just dropped off.
They have, yeah. They're not giving them any space inside, but keeping their wing-backs at home now is not giving them space in behind either.
There is just no way through for South Africa at this stage. The attendance, 67,442. As there is going to be another change for the Czech Republic, and it is Lukas Chev who's going to be coming off.
I think he signalled a couple of minutes ago that he was cramping up a little bit.
So David Zimmer is coming on, and that is another defensive change that has been made by Miroslav Kubek. He's happy with his lot. He's happy to try and secure these 3 points for the Czech Republic. So a midfielder.
I think that could have warranted
a coming on.
Yeah, I think that could have warranted a yellow card then for the tactical foul.
Hugo Broos complains to the 4th official. It was the foul being made by Souček on Mokoena. Mokoena actually was lucky. There's a ball in towards the Polis. The Polis couldn't control it. Does he get a corner kick? No, yes he does.
Yeah, better free kick. They go short again, but this time play it into feet into the box. He just has too big a touch of Polis, otherwise he gets a shot away.
Oh, she's changed her mind. It's going to be a goal kick. I thought he motioned for a yellow card to be shown to Souček, which is something that would normally result in a yellow card.
Result in a yellow card for yourself, yeah.
And he was booked himself in the first 45 minutes.
A good decision in the end. It was a double deflection.
That's VAR working very, very well. Seen that a number of times already in the World Cup. They've got to do it before the kick can be taken. It's got to be done ideally within 5 seconds, but it's done to good effect. Maseko picks it up for South Africa. Out to Makopa on the right-hand side. Mudau joins the attack, the right back. Played towards Mabat. Challenge comes in from Krejci. Went to ground, slid on his knees. Out it goes. South Africa are still fighting here, fighting for an equaliser. Whether that's enough is debatable.
I think there's some tired Czech players out there now, though, and I think they've used all their substitutions now.
Yeah, and this is where maybe the effects of playing at altitude in their opening game, which we'd speculated why Kubek maybe had made the 5 changes. There could be some real tired legs kicking in, where their energy levels are going to be tested with just over 10 minutes remaining. BBC Radio 5 Live, also available on the BBC Sounds app. South Africa. Apollis. Out wide, far side the left. Modibo doesn't deliver the cross. They work it back in field. This is Mokoena. Still very, very congested. Ocon. Patient play by South Africa. The central defenders go back outside to that left. Back it goes now to the Ocon once again. Midway through the Czech Republic half. Mudau, the right back, being tracked by Zeleny. There is still no way through. It is a wall of red that these South African players are facing. 10 minutes remain of normal time. However, they're patient. Maseko drops out to this near side, the right, level with the penalty area. Cuts in field now. Shot blocked. They're appealing for handball. That was blocked. And the referee's given a penalty. Maseko's effort struck the hand of Schultz, and the referee has awarded a penalty for South Africa. Naturally it'll be looked at.
He will. Again, it's out of nothing. He checks inside, hits it. If it hits his hand, then they'll probably give it. You know, I think his arm is tucked in. And we'll just see it again here.
Oh
no, I'm not sure that's a penalty.
His arms are tucked in. That's not a natural position, is it?
No, that's a natural position. It's just hits him in the chest otherwise, I think.
Tatiana Guzman from Honduras is the VAR official.
I think with the rules with handball though now, I don't think they'll turn it around.
She's actually instructed Tori Penso for the Czech Republic players to walk away. I mean, when you first came out, you'd say proximity, the pace of the ball, what can he do? His arms are tucked in. Yes, it does strike his hand, but VAR have clearly looked at it and said that this penalty is going to be taken and awarded.
Yeah, harsh on the Czech Republic, but it hits his arm and unfortunately they're given. I don't think if the referee gives it, I don't think VAR then ask her to come over.
Masia Kovar, who was the hero when it came to penalty shootouts in both the playoff games against the Republic of Ireland and Denmark, has got to reproduce his heroics. He's up against Mokoena, who will be suspended for the final group game. But Mokoena could keep South Africa's hopes alive in the World Cup, and he does, because he sends Kovar the wrong way with a right-footed penalty into the bottom left-hand corner, and South Africa's hopes are still alive as they equalise here against the Czech Republic. It's 1-1.
Yeah, good penalty, sends the keeper the wrong way. There's a lot more South African fans here now than I thought originally, dear me.
Listen to the response. There is a strong smattering of yellow shirts everywhere in this vast three-tiered arena here in Atlanta.
It's going to be an interesting last 10 minutes because this is a scoreline that neither team really wants.
Yes. But as you'd already alluded to, Dean Smith, the energy levels look greater against the more tired Czech Republic, who look to be hanging on and happy to take the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, I mean, they've been good without the ball. They haven't been troubled too much, but the longer you are without the ball, the more mentally tired you become.
South Africa then, with the equalising goal to set up, I was going to say 7 minutes, but it's going to be another 10 minutes that we know we're going to get at least another 3, maybe even at least 5 minutes of added on time. That's enough time for South Africa, surely. How can Czech Republic respond to get themselves off the canvas? Zeleni's forward on this near side, the left. Misplaced pass goes out of play. He's annoyed with himself.
Yeah, they look tired. There's a chance for South Africa here with them being tired.
Certainly is.
But again, get the ball into people's feet in around the penalty box. You know, he's checked inside, hit a shot and won the penalty from that.
It was a hit and hope effort from Maseko, as South Africa have just made another change, and they've brought on Sibeli Belly to come on for what will be a 4th appearance for him, the Orlando Pirates defender. Maseko actually is the one who's gone off, and it goes towards Apollis. Sliding was Holesh, charged down by Schultz. He was the player penalised for the penalty. I mean, back in the day in England, that would never have been awarded, would it?
No, it wouldn't. But the game has changed, the rules have changed, they keep changing, especially with handball. You know, and you're always at risk when it hits you on your arm in the penalty box.
Yep. 5 minutes remain of normal time. Czech Republic pick it up. Schick. Lost the ball there of South Africa, of Czech Republic. South Africa win it back. Goes out of play on this near side. It's going to be a Czech Republic throw. Words of encouragement from Miroslav Koubek. Very, very hard though when you've dropped off to try and go again, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You know, to up the tempo when you've been quite comfortable behind the ball and not really conceding anything of note, to be honest, any big chances at least.
This is their first meeting in a World Cup. Their only previous encounter was the 1997 Confederations Cup, which was played in Saudi Arabia. It was a 2-2 draw that particular occasion, but twice South Africa came back to equalise. Vladimir Smica got both the goals for the Czech Republic. Well, they've come from behind again here today as Schultz runs forward for the Czech Republic. A rare foray into the South African half, but South Africa deal with it and they almost give it back to the Czech Republic. In fact, Schultz did well. Chipped in by Zeleny, flick header away by Makazi, needed to as well. Zeleny tries to win it back. Makopa, though, with his energy levels, flicks it, drags it back, and then taking no challenge, Mokoena passes the ball back towards his goalkeeper. There was a lot of pressure with that penalty, wasn't there, for the South African midfielder, for him to get that equalising goal from the spot.
Yeah, there was. He took it really well, really calmly. I think the keeper went a little bit early and he put it in the opposite side. But there's definitely been an increase in intensity from both teams in the last couple of minutes. I think they realise, you know, how big, you know, the next 5 or 10 minutes are now to try and win the game.
But if you were a betting man, would you favour South Africa rather than Czech Republic?
I think I would. I think they're more comfortable in possession at the moment. They've got some tired legs in there at the moment, the Czech Republic as well.
Mokoena swings over the cross, partially cleared, and then the effort was popped back in. And it was a save from Mofokeng that Kovar had to make as he caught the ball diving away towards his right, because the substitute right-footed caught it from, 25 yards out from goal, and it required Kovar to make the save.
It did, yeah. Probably not the cleanest strike, which allowed the goalkeeper to make the save. I think a better strike, he may have been in trouble.
2 minutes remain of normal time. It is 1-1. And so that means in this 2020 World Cup, this is the 25th game.
Something's happened off the ball.
It's the 19th match where we've had at least 2 goals being scored. We're going to quickly go to the Oval, and Eleanor Oldroyd.
England have lost another wicket, 217 for 6. James Roux was dropped on 23, but then caught just attempting a pull and top edging. Out for 24. Jordan Cox still there on 17. England, though, a long way short with 10 minutes to go in the evening. 174 behind New Zealand.
Yes, that's after New Zealand were 391 all out on that second day of the second test at the Oval. So the corner kick is not yet to be taken on that far side. Before we went to Ellie, you said something had happened off the ball.
Yeah, it was between them two players as well. We've not seen the replay back.
She's talking to Schick quite strongly, isn't she?
She is.
Tori Penso.
Yeah, she's talking to both of them quite strongly. Another big opportunity for Czech Republic from a corner.
This is where they might well win it. They are a threat at set pieces. They've got a corner kick, right-hand side. It swings
Good
over,
header.
but it was a good header out by McCarthy. Can South Africa get the ball forward? No, the interception from Schultz to Soufal.
They've got an overload.
They have on that right-hand side. Cross is swung over. Krejci had stayed forward. They can't get out at the moment. South Africa, still it remains 1-1. We're finding out very soon how much added time there will be. Zeleny tries to win the ball. He was fouled. Free kick. That's what South Africa do not want to do, concede a free kick, because we know the threat that the Czech Republic will pose at a set piece.
Yeah, they can't afford to give soft free kicks away there. I mean, he's bought it a little bit, but just don't plant a foot.
7 minutes of added time, which we're now into. 7 minutes of additional time. Czech Republic 1, South Africa 1, and as Dean Smith quite rightly says, it's a result that neither nation really would want in Group A, with difficult matches to come, both in Mexico next Thursday. Soufal to take it, swings it over right-footed. The header from Zeleny, blocked, picked up on the far side by Souček, the right offside. Flags up, and it will be a free kick.
They win so many first contacts from balls into the box. And Souček just took a gamble on the first header and ended up offside.
Well, for the Czech Republic, I wonder if Miroslav Kubek will regret that more cautious approach that he took when they decided to sit back with such a slender lead.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because we don't know how the players were, how much that game in Mexico was taken out of them. I know it's been a week away, but he made 5 changes from that game, but they certainly dropped off the pace of play.
South Africa with a throw midway through the Czech Republic half. 5 more minutes remain. This is 5 Live Sport, live on the BBC Sounds app. McQuena tried to switch the play towards Mudau. The little flick there by McQuena finds the right back. Oh, McQuena bypassed him. A little bit of hesitation between himself and Ocon, and as a result, Czech Republic have got a turnover here. Schick holds it up, lays it back. Holeš tries to pass the ball forward to Soufal, finds him. Soufal with a layoff. This is Souček, forward ball. Schultz, rather than going for goal, looks instead for the instant layup for the unrushing Schick and allows South Africa to deal with the danger.
Yeah, I mean, Soufal ended up in loads of space on the far side. They picked the right pass. He probably just didn't get in front of him for him to take a touch forward, and he had to pass the ball sideways. Good defending, though, from South Africa again.
Yes, it was, and Williams, their goalkeeper, you'd think with a little bit more urgency would want to take this clearance downfield. Magopa with a glancing header, did just that. Look then for Mofokeng to try and get in behind. Sliding in the centre circle was Mokoena. This is Apolis on that far side. He makes a run to the edge of the area, takes a deflection away from him. They try and win it back with Mofokeng. Clearance, though, meanwhile, down on this near side will release Schultz, and Schultz now has got space to run into. He enters the penalty area. Schultz with a cross. Schick couldn't connect with it. Still the danger remains. Shot fired in, and it was wide. It was a low effort, left-footed from Provo,
I think Souček was open at the far post as well for a little ball to the far post. I think it was probably the wrong decision to shoot.
His last goal was against Portugal at Euro 24 in Leipzig from Provot. It was a key goal that gave them the lead. That would have been another key goal because it probably would have been the winning goal 3.5 minutes in of this 7 minutes of added time.
Yeah, if it had just seen Souček at the far post and left it for him.
As it was, it went wide. Schultz picks it up on the halfway line for Czech Republic, just starting to show a little bit more ambition in the closing stages. Soufal, his forward ball, takes a bit of a deflection, allows Schick to control it, chips it then out into space. But South Africa win the ball midway through their own half. Mudau, urged on. Now their supporters, as Apollis chips it forward. Making the break forward is Sebelebele. Sebelebele with a cross, blocks. Comes back towards Sebelebele. Mudau joins the attack from right back. Lays it on the infield. This is Mabat along the ground. No chance to shoot from distance. Pollis with his back to goal. Mokoena, who got the equalising goal, passes the ball out wide to Madiba. South Africa looking to try and prize an opening. 2 minutes remain. Still 1-1 on 5 Live. In this second match in Group A. Mudau, diagonal ball. Looking to try and turn was Magopa. Shot comes in left-footed. Straight at Kovar, the goalkeeper.
Did well, wriggled free and worked his shot in the end. Made the goalkeeper work as well.
Hollis tries to chip it long for Czech Republic. Downward header by Ocon. It's all South Africa at the moment. Czech Republic can't get hold of the ball. Mabat in the midfield. Ball played forward, looking for the run of Apollis. Cut out by Soufal. Good defending.
Very good defending. Never let the ball come inside of him.
Schick, though, we talked about how he was isolated in the first game. He's now become an isolated figure in the closing stages here. Mudau is forward. Mudau to the edge of the area. They play it back. This is Mofokeng. Got a runner coming in from behind him. It might open up here for South Africa. Shot comes in, blocked. Could have gone anywhere. That was from Madiba, the left back. And it cannoned away off 2 red shirts.
Some great work. He opened up the pitch for him. Again, not a clean strike. I think it comes off his shin a little bit. If he catches it well, I think he scores.
It's a combination of Zimmer and Soufal. Corner's taken quickly. Listen to the noise of the South African supporters here in Atlanta. Madiba swings over the cross from the left-hand side. By my watch, we're inside the last 60 seconds. Ball picked up on this near side by Ocon. Central defender. Mopakazi has an effort that was blocked and ricochets all the way back to Mokoena to retrieve it, and he has to go back to his goalkeeper on the edge of the area. He's got to go long. Williams does go long. Hranac back paddles and heads it away forcefully inside the D of his penalty area. And there indeed is the final whistle. And the two sides who ideally needed to win have cancelled each other out. And the reaction of both sets of players as they slump to the fore is quite telling. It might not be enough to extend their stay in the United States, Canada and Mexico. As it's finished here, Czech Republic 1, South Africa 1. Dean Smith.
Yeah, scoreline I don't think either country will be happy with. I thought they started really well, Czech Republic, got their rewards with an early goal. South Africa had a lot of ball, were comfortable, but never really opened them up. I don't feel they had enough combination play in the final third or enough quality. But then they've got their just rewards in the end. A ball into feet in the corner of the box, comes inside, has a shot, comes off the hand, wins a penalty. And, you know, they were the main aggressors after that, to be honest.
Yes, it's finished here in Atlanta. They did try very, very hard, but there was no way through. And they didn't have the quality in the end to unlock the Czech Republic defence.